Moral Intelligence, Enhancing Business Performance and Leadership Success in Turbulent Times by Doug Lennick and Fred Kiel. The main message of this book is that moral competence is critical not only to the success of individual leaders and business, but also actually the survival of the global economy. For today's leaders, moral competence is not a nice to have, it is a must have. Therefore, integrity over greed is fundamental. People who work to honest superiors can relax because they know that there's no hidden surprises that are coming out of the blue out of the organisational woodwork. People therefore accomplish more and can work with greater creativity when they don't have to waste their energy watching their back. Emotional intelligence is the constellation of self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management skills, and they're all commonly regarded as critical to success in the workplace. Although emotional intelligence is important for high performance, it alone is not sufficient to assure consistent long-term performance. In addition to emotional intelligence, a moral compass is actually needed for long-lasting business success. Thinking outside your business for a minute, there's 3 responsibilities that you have to the external community. Do no harm, add current value, and the responsibility to add value to the future. Everybody's human, we manage destructive emotions at times, and these will all occasionally come up to you, you'll feel negative emotions, and your goal shouldn't be to actually eliminate all traces of these negative emotions. In fact, it should be rather to develop emotional control, to manage destructive emotions so they don't derail you like that fly was trying to derail us just then making this video. So dealing with moral viruses, a good way to manage a moral virus is to actually scan for them in your thoughts and to figure out what you're thinking, tune into your self-talk. This is the continuous internal conversations that you have with yourself. And like computer antivirus software that periodically scans for new viruses, you should regularly scan yourself and your internal beliefs and how they're influencing your daily actions. Of note, moral viruses and destructive emotions are typically found together and often reinforce the negative effects of each other. When we're under stress, the symptoms of a moral virus can often resurface, and when you find yourself doing something and you're puzzled by why you've actually done this, you may say to yourself, I don't know why I did that. It's likely you're dealing with some sort of moral virus, and it's a good signal to talk it out with a trusted advisor or friend. And like many viruses, if brought into the light, it will actually go away. And we experience a triangle of emotions, thoughts, and behaviors, all of which mutually influence each other, but predominantly emotions are usually the product of our thoughts. Talking about truth-telling, there's this seemingly contradictory aspect in business of when not to tell the truth. At times, if you prematurely tell the truth, it can be a disservice to a business, and it may be there's legal requirements to withhold this information, and the leader should simply acknowledge that. If we feel obliged to tell something it's for their own good, just try and take a step back first and question your own motivations. Are we competitive? Are we jealous? Are we trying to even up an old score perhaps? It may be wise to ask yourself one question. Is there a way that I could more compassionately, honestly provide this information versus being brutally honest? And an emotionally intelligent leader knows when not to trust gut reactions. The book mentions a person who gained great insight when they really said, when I'm feeling really angry, I know not now to just say, I need some time to think about this, let's talk tomorrow. And they also learned to consult with other people who aren't personally involved with this to get an objective opinion. It's not easy to stay connected to the ideal self when you're dealing with an obnoxious co-worker, but you can think of this and think, well, we can keep the channel of respect open, and you can call on your capabilities and your capacity for empathy and listening, and think of this as a development opportunity for yourself. Because to see what's in the other person's mind, you really have to listen and observe. Let me tell you about the 4 R's of financial intelligence. Recognize all the elements of the current situation and how you're interpreting or framing your situation. Reflect on the big picture and what matters most. These are your values and guiding principles. Reframe. What are you thinking, and how are you describing the situation to yourself? Respond in a way that's consistent with your values, goals, and the big picture. Potentially, you and your organization can reach higher levels of performance by capitalizing on your strengths rather than trying to remove your weaknesses. Now, it becomes harder, to be honest, the further you get up the chain to get accurate feedback. So here's a script you may want to try. I know we're both going to make a bunch of mistakes. I want us to agree to help correct each other. I'm going to mess up. Would you be willing to let me know? And if you see me making a mistake, clearly the person who's your subordinate's going to say yes, and then you could follow it on with something such as, and how about if I see you acting with your performance not consistent with your goals that you've shared with me, may I let you know about that? Now, to do this well, you obviously need to value your team, and you understand what your team members value both at work and at home, and this is fairly obvious about seeing them as a whole person. There's 5 maxims of moral entrepreneurship. Build a business that helps others. Choose your partners wisely. Now let me expand on this a bit. If you're thinking about having a friend as a business partner, it can make it very difficult to address problems created by one or another. So what do you do if your partner friend betrays you or is putting your business at risk? By considering how your friend wants to behave ideally, you can actually hold them to account, and you can give them the benefit of the doubt at times. And if you can point this out that they're not behaving true to their values and jointly recommit to the business and their values, then potentially it would solve the issue. If at that point you forgive, move on, things go well, fantastic. However, if you continuously are doing this and the behavior is ongoing and it's inconsistent with their values, then you may want to think again. Forgiveness is not synonymous with stupidity. 3. Hold tight on your core values. 4. Surround yourself with employees who share your values. And 5. Put your people and your organization first. Both large and small enterprises have the same basic requirements for moral leadership. If you're an entrepreneur at the start, it may be difficult to stay true to these principles because stakes are high and cash flow is low. But equally, when the business is established, stakes will remain high and cash flow will be high. So you really need to have your enterprise and your venture anchored in core principles. And no matter what the size of the territory, the morally competent leader weaves business and moral values together, and that's what makes the difference. Hope you found that helpful. Feel free to comment below, like, subscribe. I shall see you next time.